Welcome to another episode of Diary of a Wannabe Comedian with me, Belle, a wannabe comedian. I expect you've noticed that this podcast is, well, if you're outside of the UK, you've noticed that it's an hour later, and that's because the clocks went forward, and I'm shattered. I feel totally, jet lagged. I don't know why they have to do this twice a year, because it just finishes me off. I don't think it's just that. I hope everybody's had an amazing Easter. And if you don't celebrate Easter, I hope you've had an amazing weekend. I spent mine in hospital. Don't worry, it was planned. It wasn't any emergency. Well, I say that. I went in for the urgent treatment that we discussed I was going to have in December last year. You may recall I got overly stressed and caused all sorts of problems and pain and could barely walk. Well, this weekend, yes, they were working on Saturday. I went into the day surgery unit and I've had lots and lots of injections shoved everywhere. And when I say everywhere, I mean everywhere. I found, let's just say, a plaster in an unusual place. It's like, how did they get there? But that was right at the base of my spine. And I was trying to change the dressings, and the nurse said to me, she gave me a whole new load and said, get somebody to change them for you in a few days' time. Well, that's not an option for me. And quite frankly, where this one was, I still wouldn't let it be an option for me, even if there was somebody to change my dressings for me. I don't know anybody on the planet well enough to allow that to happen. So that was interesting, but I have to say, life-changing. I wasn't going to discuss it because, as you know, Bob Proctor says don't discuss your health unless you're discussing it with a doctor. But I just have to tell you, it was life-changing. If you've got any issue with your back and you've been discussing about having these injections, my advice, go and have them. Go and have them. It's just, Apart from the fact I seem to have lost my voice a bit. I don't really know why that is. I think that might be the oxygen, because I had a bit of sedation. And when I say a bit of sedation, I don't actually remember anything that happened. So it was pretty good. It was as good as a general. But I did wake up with this funny voice. So I don't know what's going on there. But anyway, where was I? Yeah, have it done. Go have it done. The only downside for me, and this is really difficult because I now qualify to have transport there and back. And so it was a great big ambulance just for me. So that was interesting. It's like a car would have been enough. I'm fine. And quite frankly, I could have made my own way there. It was only coming home that I wanted a bit of support. But they don't do that. They don't offer that. You have to have it both ways or not at all. And, we wonder why the NHS is struggling. But anyway, that service is provided by G4S. And I was booked to get my pickup at 8:30 and she turned up at 8. Now, when you're going in for any procedure, particularly me, I get because I've got a lot of history with this hospital. This is basically where I had all my surgeries as a child. So I'm already stressed, and then when somebody turns up half an hour early. So as a consequence, I wandered out and, I rushed out. My hair was still wet. And in fact, I wasn't even dressed when she called. So I had to quickly get dressed and ran straight out. And of course, I forgot everything. So I was pretty much in this day unit all day with nothing much to entertain me. So that was a bit boring. But then the worst thing was I was a bit late I don't know what happened. They changed the list and I ended up going in much later than I was planned to go in. And I can't remember, timing is a little bit interesting for me. I think I came out at 4:30. 5 o'clock, because I got back to the ward, at 20 to 5, and they gave me a sandwich because I hadn't eaten anything since 10 o'clock the night before. And then suddenly I'm getting this you've got to go. They want you to go. They're not, that your lift is here and she's not going to wait. And what? So first of all, they said, we can't let you go until you've actually had a wee. Excuse me. Didn't mean to talk about that on this podcast, but we're all friends here. We're open here. So I had to go see if everything was working properly. And I'm pleased to say it is. But then I'm literally rushing out and I've got this yogurt that I had. And I hadn't eaten anything for such a long time. And it was an amazing cup of tea as well. And I had to leave it while I'm being rushed out to get me home because the lift didn't want to wait past 5 o'clock. So, you come out of theatre at 4:30 and then you're suddenly being rushed along a corridor. Well, I say rushed. She says, oh, there's no rush. And I was like, what are you talking about? There's been a rush all day with you guys. So anyway, I did eventually get home. But it has made me think that if I have to have this done again, I won't be using their transport. I will just make my own way there and get a cab back or something like that, because that was just ridiculous. I'm not being pushed around like that. Utterly ridiculous. But she was a nice lady, She was a nice lady, talked to me a lot on the way home, which, again, I didn't need. And what can I say? I've just got my fingers crossed now that this lasts the full duration. So I've been told it can last for up to 2 weeks. They're the unlucky people. And the majority of people get 6 months. And then the really lucky ones get 2 years. Well, I'm aiming to be really lucky because I don't want that stress again. But either way, it's diagnostic. So I don't know what the next stage is that we have to go through. But yeah, let's hope that I never have to talk about this again, or I don't have to talk about this again for at least 2 years. So that was my holiday weekend. I hope yours was less eventful. Much love and gratitude.